Good evening, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblum, and you're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 4th of April, 2020, and we got some bullish action going on. The market broke above, at least the S&P, 2,800, which is well above the 20-day exponential, and closing for the first time, really in a while, since February, I suppose, above the 50-day moving average. So we get this little play to and from key levels, and the 200-day simple moving average is one of them. Is it possible we're headed there? And that takes us up to the overlap of 3,000 and the 200-day simple moving average. Just for a quick reference, we can look at that as a target when the market gets well overextended, and that's the little snapback or the rubber band play. When the market snaps back from an overbought position all the way to the 200 SMA and then back again and smack right back. It's just a reference. It's not magical. It just helps with risk management, maybe some short-term targeting for spreads, and departure plays, which is a movement toward, and the departure play takes us up away from. And it works on the downside too. When the market breaks, falls beneath, and goes beyond, you get target plays to the upside. And this is again the SP 500, and that's going to rubber band right back to, and then breaking above, and so on and so forth. We got a little bit ahead of our skis in 2020, and the market snapped right back down beneath the moving average. And that's happened twice in the last couple of years before this. So now, is this the bottom? That's not what this video is for. We're talking about stocks that are making new 52-week highs, and in some cases, you'll see a name you probably are familiar with, making new all-time highs. And it could be surprising. So the title of tonight's video is Surprising Stocks Making New 52-Week Highs. But keep in mind that the S&P is about the halfway point from the 3,400, 2,200, and breaking above 28 and 50. So that's our key level to watch as we go forward. Further upside action is just like any other time when we're coming up, maybe headed toward these key levels. That's just what guides my thinking as a short-term trader, is movement toward and then away from key levels. Same with trend lines, but I think moving averages could be a little bit of helpful guides for our decisions, especially on the way up in strong trending markets. Okay, that's the S&P. Let's now take a look at our stocks that are making new highs. A couple of ways to do that. We're going to take a look at our custom scan, and that's just going to be a load query, and this should be public. I know some traders don't have it, but it's new yearly highs. I'm going to take all this off the chart, just walking you through how this plays out. New high 25 or 252, which is basically a new annual high or high of the last year. We're going to take that within the S&P 500. That's how I did the scans. So as we get that there, S&P 500, new yearly highs, and the daily chart. We'll take a look at those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're going to pop up in the list. We have the names of the companies. This is the one I want to draw your attention to. Two of them, actually. It's Amazon and Netflix. One other one shows up on the list you might be familiar with. That's Walmart. Another one might be Dollar General. These are stocks in, if you want to call it the recession or the downturn or the quarantine, that people still have to go get their food, still have to go get the groceries. And these retail names are top of the list. And we joked about this the other day. And if you can joke about quarantines, if you're stuck, can't do very much, you might be watching Netflix. You might be shopping on Amazon. You might even be getting things from other retail names like Walmart or the others. So we'll focus mainly on those, even though other stocks that are making new 52-week highs are, and we'll chart them with us together, Newmont Mining and Regeneron. That's one we've been talking about for a while. That's one of those in the forefront of the coronavirus cure or the vaccine or just any type of medical biopharmaceutical. So that is one we talked about in prior videos that continue to make new highs. Regeneron's been on the list for a little while here, as has Walmart and other names. Eli Lilly, another one. This is healthcare or a type of pharmaceutical and then broad umbrella of healthcare. So that's on there as well. And then Netflix and then Equinix, which is a real estate company. So we'll, for the moment, for the purpose of this video and opportunities, we'll forget these exist. Now we can take this within a watch list, and these are the scan candidates, and pull those into the charts. We'll do that right now. Again, S&P, pull these over. I'm just going to be clicking through. So Amazon might surprise you, might not. In the sense of the quarantine, we're going to shop on Amazon for toilet paper or anything else we need. I'm bored, let's shop, right? Whatever the reason is. Amazon shares have peaked and recently have taken a major flight, and that's lifted shares from 1900 to 2300 almost before we can say blink or shop now or buy now. And that's where we are. And the weekly chart shows that same type of move. We're not going to step in front of this because that which is trending tends to keep going. That which is strong tends to get even stronger. These are stocks to put in a watch list for future buys, and they should not be short sold unless you're taking well-defined risk positions with put spreads or maybe some in-out spreads to fade these highs. But as you know, my strategy or my preference, it's to find something strong and then join it. Find something making new 52-week highs and then buy it on a pullback. I'm not going to stand in front of a strong stock. I don't think that tends to work very well except for scalp or very aggressive fade tactics. The broader duration plays tend to be done in the direction of the trend. That's Amazon. We'll skip over Equinix. Maybe Eli Lilly we'll take a quick look at. Same type of bullish action throughout 2018 into 19. Stabilization, we've been discussing this one. Let's update Eli Lilly. Support is about 105 per share. Remember I talked about that 200 simple moving average? There's a rubber band snapback, a departure from, rubber band snapback, and a departure from. It's worth noting that despite the volatility, and that is some volatility, good Lord, these stocks are in uptrending environments. But again, Eli Lilly is on one of the stocks in the forefront of the vaccine, or at least in the healthcare industry. Might or might not be of interest to you, whether or not you have a Netflix account or watch Netflix or don't, or maybe subscribe to Netflix. Either way, it makes sense. It's not an all-time high, not like Amazon. That Netflix shares peaked at the 420 level, 423, I think 423, right back in the middle of 2018. And the stock can be seen as being in a large-scale trading range, which makes it okay if you do want to fade or sell into these overhead resistance levels. The most recent play, if you will, or short or trade, was up against 390 or 380. And that was before the pandemic hit, or at least some of the sell side activity as a result. But being in a trading range, 300, we've discussed this one a little bit too, appears to be at the bottom of Netflix in a broader trading range. Dollar General, you might not want to trade this stock, and that's completely fine, but just of note, it is a discretionary stock, but can think of it also, it's retail. Maybe it's turned consumer staple. All right, we're not going to speculate that far, but still, with respect to the stock itself, higher highs, higher lows, rising, moving averages, like anything, this has been hit with volatility. That's not much we can trade in that, but on the bigger picture, it is still uptrending. So Dollar General has achieved a new high, and I think that's possibly a new lifetime high for Dollar General, which is a retail type of name. Here's Walmart. Speaking of retail type of names, a big one. It's Walmart. Like it, love it, hate it. People do shop there in the quarantine to get their supplies. So it is still functional, still operating, and maybe even generating more revenue or sales than on a normal time, strangely enough. Nevertheless, these same types of volatility, we discussed this back here as Walmart being a good name, really about a month ago, possibly in a prior video, of making new highs. So the trade typically is not to buy the high, as is the case here, but do so on pullbacks, retracements, or flags. Many examples of that. But do keep in mind we are in, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but a high volatility event. So even with this in-out spread, normally we'd be saying get long a stock that's making new highs, get long the pullback, trade bullishly. But we can't get around this type of gap and heightened price movement in both directions. There's really not a trading edge within this type of environment. So one more, well, Regeneron. We discussed it too. We'll just take a quick look at Newmont mining, which is not much to say, but it is getting rapidly squeezed to the upside. And that's a mining company. We'll finish up with Regeneron, which is also, we had discussed in a prior video. I had in a prior update with you with respect to these highs, new highs, right? We don't want to buy the highs. We want to buy the pullback from the highs. So Newmont Mining has not achieved an all-time high, but it's not that far. And the share price, it is about $4.50 or $4.30. That's your reference point. So these are just quick stocks, back of the envelope type of calculations on stocks making new highs. You can run the scan every day. We're going to see which ones are holding up within this environment. It's a heightened volatility. Risk is high to both sides. That's where the spreads may come in a little bit better than just flat option calls or puts, or of course just individual stock positions. Always guard your risk, and option spreads give you that built-in advantage. But always make sure your bid-ask spread and your liquidity is acceptable before you put the trade on. And that's been a barrier to a lot of trades recently. So always be careful and use your checklists as per the TheoTrade classes. As always, be careful and safe. It's Corey Rosenblum with your Theo Nightly video for April 14th, 2020.